1. Welcome to DFH Locker Room number 18. I am joined by, as always, Doomsy. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you doing this fine day, Gibbs?
I'm doing okay. Get my Rumble action in.
Damn right.
It's been swell. And then, of course, I'm also joined by James Bott, who is super salty because he's only gotten 2 crates so far. How you doing,
Yeah,
James?
only 2 crates. I'm doing, whatever. I'm not happy, but.
And he also got a Roadhog skin, so, that kind of hurts. And then last but not least, no webcam for him, but we are joined by the lovely Quinn Lobdell.
Is up, Gibbs. Whoa. Gibbs, James Bott, Doomsy.
It's all right. It's all right. Quinn's a little nervous, It's his first DFH locker room.
I hope those were anxiety pants.
Can you tell?
I'm not sure what that was.
Maybe he's strategically not having the webcam on.
Maybe he really likes Rumble.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what it is. All right, we'll go right into it, guys. Rumble update just launched yesterday night at 7, so James couldn't play for an extra 3 hours, or me as well because of Gamer Saloon. So what are your first impressions, guys? I'll start with James with the just the Rumble game mode itself.
Yeah, so we played immediately after the update dropped. It was Get Merked versus Kings of Urban. And we actually played that all in Rumble. And it was like at watching the video, I was like, oh, that looks okay. But then playing it, I was like, oh my God, this is actually a lot of fun. Like this is I can see people who come to the game new just start on Rumble and just stay on it.
Yeah, the 3v3, like, it's a little chaotic, but I think also we all just started playing it, so we're just like, oh, power up. Let's just use it. Like, I think eventually it might slow down a bit where people are like, I'm going to hold on to these spikes till I desperately need it, but so much fun. Like, we were in comms. It was me, Carpet, and Kings of Urban because James...
I didn't get to be in comms.
Yeah, which kind of sucked for James, but... it was just a blast. We were having a great time with like all the weird goals or like a plunger save. It's just like there's tons of great moments in Rumble which you can't get in the normal modes. Like you can if you're really good, I guess, but not usually. But like you get like 5 to 10 of those a game in Rumble, which is a ton of fun. Doomsy, how were your first games in Rumble? Because I know you're practicing for RLCS, so like how much Rumble are you playing?
Well, I guess goodbye RLCS streams because I'm playing too much Rumble now. Like, when I first played it, I was just like, all right, let's see what's going on. I was pretty excited. And I think like I got one item, just used it and just burst out laughing straight away. It was like I just did a hook or something and just found it hilarious. And no matter what the item is, you just use it and like 50% of the time it's just something funny happens. And the sounds are so funny. It's just like, I don't know, it's so cartoony.
Yeah. Yeah, the sounds really make it. Yeah, it's fantastic. And then Quinn, you were playing with us last night, and you were playing a little bit. You also casted the first ever competitive Rumble game. How'd that go?
That was really fun. And I want to preface this with saying, since I was the only person at LAN for the release, the only player at least, we were all expecting like some crazy competitive announcement, and we just see Rumble, and I was with Mike Rules, and we're just like, what is this? What are they showing us? It's like Smash Bros. Rocket League. Like, is this really what they're showing us at RLCS? But no, it was so worth the hype, dude. It was great. I can't stop playing Rumble. I love it. I'm like, actually, I just got Legion. I'm quitting World of Warcraft for Rumble.
No way. I saw Loan and he said that you were playing still, so you're a liar.
Well, I can't play while we
caught red-handed.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Quinn, what are you doing?
Your first time on the show and you're lying already. You've only been on for 10 minutes. Not even
Never
that.
Again, Quinn. Never again. Quinn, by the way, you can curse on this show.
Oh, okay, great.
Fuck yeah, you can.
Great. Rumble's fucking great.
What the heck?
I fucking love Rumble.
Jesus.
Jeez.
Oh man.
Freaking A.
So let's go into just like the power up. So if you guys haven't played Rumble yet, every 10 seconds you get a power up when a new face off starts, and then once you use your power up, once it expires, then you have 10 seconds again until you get another power up. There's 11 power ups in the game, guys. My question to you guys is, what is your favorite power up? We'll start with Quinn this time.
Dude, the spikes? The spikes. How can you not love the spikes, dude? You gotta spin around like a fucking retard, man. It's just like bouncing off walls and like it's so much fun. But yeah, I just love the spikes, dude.
Yeah, spikes is hilarious when someone spikes like on the underside of their car and then they just can't drive, and you just laugh at them for 5 seconds while they're like trying to move and they can't do anything.
The spikes are definitely the best. The spikes are hands down the best item in the game, and like the only thing that really counters the spike, like you can boot people, but magnetism actually really screws people up in the air who are trying to fly with ball with Skype. Yeah, you just pull them away. But like the punching glove does nothing to spikes at all.
Which is weird. Like, I would think the ball would get punched right off, but Doomsy was telling me earlier that the freeze ball actually takes the spike user out. Like, it takes his spikes off, which I didn't catch, but I'll believe Doomsy on this one because a lot of people were back.
When I first played it, the spikes were quite... Everyone first impressions of the game, everyone we would talk to was like spikes OP, magnet underpowered. But the more you play it and the more you understand how you should use it, it's actually like pretty well balanced because the spikes, whilst if you get them, it's really like powerful. But you can get countered with a grappling hook. If you just grappling hook and your car hits it, it's good. If you freeze it, you drop the ball. If you somehow can hit the person, then you're fine.
Also, the swap places will mess it up.
Yeah, swap places messes it up. If you do what's it? The boot to kick the other player, that just ruins them. The magnet, you could just drag the player and the ball into into the opponent's goal, and it's like, for fuck's sake.
I saw a goal today.
You can pretty counter it pretty well.
Yeah, along those lines, I literally saw a goal today where a spike user was jumping with the ball, and somebody booted him, and he flew back into his own net. It was amazing.
Yeah, like the only reason why I think right now spikes are OP is because everyone's just like, ooh, power up, use it. So no one ever has a power up like in the bank to counter the spikes. So then once someone has spikes and no one else has power ups, you're like, well, that's the end of that. Like my favorite, I think, is the plunger. Because it just has like a really strong pull on it, so I think it like changes up where the ball goes a lot. Like it's kind of like magnetism, but just way better. And like a plunger, like you can get a lot of really cool curve shots off of it. Like spikes are a lot of fun too. I just think they're a little overpowered, or like not necessarily like overpowered because once people save their power ups, but like it's the go-to favorite. So allow me to be like a hipster and choose a plunger.
It probably, if you go and look at statistics on which power up yields the most goals, I bet it is spikes. Because if you use it right at the end of the time, then you just drive around people and drive into the net.
Yeah,
everyone always freestyles that you just get it. Yeah, like the moment you get it, hook it, and you just do one like big loop from your side of the pitch, aerial freestyle everywhere. No one can get you, and you just land in their goal, and you're like, yay!
Yeah, like the best thing is when you can defend those. It's like amazing when they're trying to freestyle in, like, and you can actually get up and block it. It feels amazing, but then least favorite power up. I would probably think everyone's gonna choose the same one, but I'm not sure. So we'll start with Doomsy. Like, what do you dislike the most?
It was the magnet because it was really weak, but I've learned to use it pretty well because you just got to use its momentum rather than try and change its momentum too much.
Like curve it,
like guide it. Yeah. But now I think it's the boring one is like making someone go really fast because you're like, okay, well, great, just use that. And I think it's a bit like, I don't know, because you're not doing anything like to hit the ball, so it's not great. And it's like if you're just making them go really fast, I don't know.
Like it activates for like 5 seconds, so that's 5 more seconds that you don't have a power up because you have to wait till it expires. But that one's at least good that it doesn't change their controls. Because at first I thought it was going to like change the other player's controls, because that's what it seemed like it was going to do.
I thought, which I was like, that.
No, they definitely shouldn't. Like, I don't think, because then when you get disrupted, you're just like, well, I'm out for 5 seconds. Yeah.
Just the most chaos. It's a chaos game. It's great. Just do that.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Like, for me personally, the worst one by far to me is Tornado. Hurricane. It just doesn't, like,
Tornado.
It kind of just messes everything up, and and you can't do a lot with it. Skillfully, like, at least.
It's a good spike counter, though.
It actually does a really good job of taking players out of the play. Like, if you know there's people on the goal line and you have a tornado,
just whip it
like,
through.
You can just, like, but it also can screw you because it'll just throw the ball away,
plus it's active for so long, again, because it's like, oh, now I don't get another power for a really long time. Like, as soon as I get Tornado, like, I usually just use it right away because I would prefer to have something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Tornado. Quinn, what do you think?
Yeah, I really don't like the tornado at all. I mean, it's so frustrating. I feel like it messes me up more than anything. Every time I use it, I have like an idea in my head, like, all right, I'm gonna grab this ball and I'm gonna like do something with it. And then I just kind of realized like you have to use it just to troll people, like just drag them across the map and like pick up like 2 of their guys in your tornado and just like
On Neo Tokyo, it's savage because the ceiling is so high.
It's like, can't do anything. It's when there's 2 tornadoes and like the 2 players are like, oh crap, and they just like start going in each other's tornadoes and no one could do anything. It's like, for God's sake. It's just so funny.
One thing I like with the spikes is you have, I think it's around 10 to 12 seconds. Like I was trying to time it earlier, but as soon as you get connected to the ball, then it speeds up that time times 2. So then you only have 5 seconds total, like if you get it right away, which is kind of nice. Like I like that feature, like of spikes, so you can actually like drive around for a bit and then get the ball, but then you have to use it really, really quickly, which is kind of nice. But I know like Psyonix, even Eric's in here right now saying we're keeping an eye on like all of the Rumble items, and they'll probably tweak them throughout patches and stuff like that. So that's always nice. But then I was going to say, go ahead, Doomsy.
I was gonna say, I think whether you think something's overpowered or not will depend very heavily on the abilities of the players. I think in top level players, spikes are fine; they're not too overpowered. Same with Magnet, that's fine. That's not too underpowered. You just got to understand when you should save your items, and maybe even communicate with your teammates what items you have to like do some combos or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Probably,
I think newer players will be like, "What? That spikes are so powerful," because like. It's hard enough for newer players to just hit a ball, to hit someone who's dribbling anyway, like very lightly. And if you have a complete control over a ball because it's just stuck to your car, then it'd be impossible for most players to hit a ball. So
One thing I want to see with the Magnet is maybe like an increased range. It seems like it's maybe a little bit too small of a range compared to say like the Haymaker or the Plunger, because like the Magnet right now is kind of like a weak Plunger. Like it does last longer. And you can curve it.
It gets really strong though. Like I've seen some really good Magnet plays. Like the closer it is to you, the stronger it is.
Yeah.
So you can do some wacky stuff with it.
You can also use it as a spike by aerialing. If the ball is floating in the air and it's not going too powerful, you can just fly by it with a magnet and then just gently glide it into the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where like it comes into play like really well. When you go up a wall and then turn on Magnet and then get your hit off the wall and start flying to their net, it's like perfect because the ball's just like hovering around you, like orbiting around. But like sometimes it just seems like the ball bounced a little high, but I'm on the ground. It's like it's like a tiny bit out of range, and it just seems like maybe a tiny boost of range. But of course it shouldn't be that strong at that range. But I don't know, it just seems a little short to me. But like it's still really good in the right hands for sure.
The power shot though is actually pretty awesome. Like there was one that you had, Gibbs, that was like over 100 miles per hour. Like it's
from, like,
unlimited
our end of the
demos
field.
and power shot. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that one's really cool. Oh, plus
the
it lasts
grappling
really long
hook.
time.
The grappling hook is a little underpowered almost, man. You know how many times I've like grappled and then someone just touches the ball and I'm just like spending the next 10 seconds just chasing the ball. I have owned gold so many times from like someone hitting it above our net. And I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah, you have to be really close to the ball to make grapple like work well, because then you know where you're hitting it. Because if you try from really far away, you're ball chasing for a really long time sometimes. Like even like if someone power shoots it away, then you're literally on the ball for like 5 seconds and you're just dragging along the whole time.
It's almost like you have to use it as an automatic aerial hit, but then you have to like get used to how fast you go when you grapple. So if it's like going across the middle in the air, you could hit it, but it's weird. That one is hard.
That you approach the ball, like if you could like pull back to like hit it slower, right? Or like
if you affected it,
right?
Or if you could like backflip or something to slow it down.
They could accelerate it. So you start off the speed you have now, the default speed, that's the starting speed. But then the longer you're hooked, the faster you go towards it. So if a ball is really far away, you kind of and then you go towards it to stop you from just flying around all the way.
Yeah. Plus, then it would be a super powerful hit, which might change it up a little bit too, which would be kind of.
That'd be a good idea, actually, DMC.
Spice things up a bit. Ooh. Also, talk about range. I think this car switch range should be bigger. Because I think it'd be hilarious if you're on your own side of the pitch and you basically just switch with their goalie, and now you're like,
I don't know about
ready for a redo.
I don't know. Like car switch is already trolly enough that I'm like, no.
So
like the best
funny.
thing is like I saw Art. He was like, if you turtle and then car switch, then they're in turtle mode. So like you purposely just like fly to the ceiling and then like switch with them, and then they're like, well, now I'm just flying down forever. So that's really fun. But yeah, car switch. like hasn't been too trolly, at least for me, because it's 3v3. But once that's like a 2v2 mode, car switch would be so like, overpowered.
Oh yeah.
Because you can just car switch with anyone. So that's the only thing I'm worried about. But in 3v3, it works pretty well, I think, right now, because there's so many people going around using power ups anyway. It doesn't matter. But like, but overall though, all like 11 power ups, I'd say besides Tornado, like the 10 power ups, they all have a place. I feel like that work really well in the mode. I'd say Tornado might be that one outside looking in, but they did a really good job with all the power ups, I think.
Do you know what power they should add? Or two. One where your car gets like super big or something, and then one where like you make an opponent go really small. So you're like, and you're like, oh, it goes tank in front of my goal.
That would actually be pretty cool.
Charging in.
And it's like little
Mark it
small
up.
guard. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Or like change the ball size, like in that Mario Kart video they did, where like the ball gets too big to fit into the net for like 3 seconds. So it just goes like so big that it can't go in the net. But then it would have to be for like 3 seconds. It's like, or make it really small, like add the like mutator ball size. So if someone's going up for an aerial, you change it to the mutator like really small size, and then they miss, and then you try and score that way too. Like that'd be kind of neat. But I just don't know. Like they're not as powerful as maybe the other ones, so I don't know.
Maybe not. I think they should have like you can drop like oil or something on the floor, and then when a car goes over, it spins out.
Or if
Like,
a giant banana. There you
something like that. Just something
one
like to place down, like a mine or something, and if you go over it, you explode. Ooh.
go. Ooh.
dropping
One thing I
mine.
noticed.
Or have
though,
just a mine and explode. No, your weapon, you have like a pulse thing or whatever, and when you use it, like a big explosion or like a pulse beam ball comes out of like your car, and all the opponents fly away. So you just like someone's driven, you just go whenever it goes flying away. I think that'd be a cool one.
One thing I noticed is the mutator settings are pretty lacking right now. There's only 4 different presets, and I was actually just going over them because I'm going to make a video for them because they don't explain what they are in there. But one of them is just like it's just 20 seconds per power up, and then another one is just spring loaded, which is only the haymaker and the boot, but it's 20 seconds as well. And then one is just you take out all of the like aggressive power ups, so it takes out Swapper, Disruptor, Tornado, and all those. And then the other one is the reverse of that, and it's only Tornado, Power, Disruptor, Swapper, and things like that. But that's the only options you have, and you can't change, like, we just don't want spikes in or something like that, or we don't want Tornado, but we want everything else. Like, hopefully they eventually expand on the mutator list and just be like, you click Rumble settings, and it brings you to a new menu, and you can just go through and change whatever you want, or make, like, say spikes are a little bit more rare, maybe, something like that. Like I think that would be really, really helpful for mutators, or if people wanted to try and make it a little bit more competitive, they could by doing it that way.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right, on that, we'll go to James's favorite topic, crates.
Yeah, I was
and
playing
the
all
crate
morning.
drops.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, you still have 2. I've only got 1, so. But you probably played a little bit more than me at this point.
Yeah, I played all morning and I didn't get anything. So, I don't know what the percentages are, but it feels pretty low.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like there's not a ton of items, so maybe they're purposely keeping it low so people don't get every single item so quickly before they can add more, maybe. But at the same time, it's weird because it's like, we want to give you money, but we literally can't because we don't have crates to use money on.
I don't know. I've been giving them money regardless.
Well,
I
that's true.
already have like 15
You have so
keys
many
ready.
keys.
Yeah.
I gave him
I
my
bought
money.
1 crate. I'll buy 20. Why did I do that?
Yeah.
This is gonna be a long time. Just buying in advance, Yeah.
Yeah, I bought 20 keys, but yeah, I've opened 1 crate, but I did get wheels at least. But
Yeah, you got awesome wheels.
Which
You had
Lobos.
crazy crates, Gibbs.
but like I need yellow wheels. That's what I need. So I'll be trading those away at some point for some yellow ones.
Yeah.
Gotta
I
match
do like
my
how-
power, man.
I do like how they made all the drops, wheels and everything colored. You can get them colored.
Mm.
It's like if you see like the lightning wheels, like someone had lime green lightning wheels, they look so good. I won.
Everyone goes nuts over wheels. I totally get it. It's so funny though, but it's like it's just wheels. You get a wheel and everyone just loses their goddamn mind. Okay, you got pink, I have red. I want red. So it's just a cutout of a wheel, but everyone's like going mental over it. It's so good. Love me some wheels.
Yeah. So
I
Gibbs
a
got
breakout
wheels.
detail, though.
His first crate. I got What did I get? Oh wait, I got
The
I
distortion.
got an Octane distortion skin, which I don't ever play Octane.
So
and then I
it's me,
got
it's fine.
yeah, I should do that. And then I got a freaking Roadhog skin. Ugh.
That's one thing I'm not a big fan of. Like, there is some decals that work with all cars, but like they should have had at least one special skin for every car, I feel like. But like literally Dominus has like 5 different skins in the crates. And I know it's more popular, but for those players that use like the Paladin, there's nothing besides the universal decals. Maybe like throw in at least one of for each car, and you can still keep your 4 or 5 for Dominus. That's the only thing that was a little disappointing. Plus, there's no antennas, which at the pro level, like I know, like they only care about decals and wheels because like they don't want toppers or antennas anyway. Plus boost maybe. But there's no antennas and there's no toppers. Like it would have been cool if there was an ultra rare topper that looked really cool, and then maybe some antennas that did some fun stuff. Like maybe had like a rainbow trail off the antenna or something like that.
Oh my
I was a
God,
little
it's
surprised
so
that they didn't have it for each category of item.
And I think maybe they're just like they have limited amount of time they can
Yeah,
make.
yeah, for
Because
sure.
I mean there isn't many items here, so I'm guessing. So I like it's better that they focus on the more popular items like the wheels and the decals before they
Yeah.
start going off and doing other stuff. So I'm pretty sure in the future they'll have hats and antennas and stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah,
like,
no, I do
think-
agree with you. It should be nice to spread it eventually.
Yeah, like for us, like where we play, like I think toppers and antennas aren't that popular, but I think in the more casual players, at least toppers would probably be pretty popular.
Yeah.
So I was surprised at least toppers weren't there. Like antennas, sure, whatever, that's give or take, but I was surprised. But wheels and decals are good. It's just I wish because like toppers are universal just already, which would have been nice to have a couple more universal type things in there. Quinn, get any thoughts on the items or crates or anything?
I mean, I actually really like the variety, I guess, except for decals. I do like that they went with the animated decals. I think animated decals are so awesome, man.
Yeah.
And I really want that pixel fire boost, dude. That's such a cool boost.
Yeah, that boost looks
Yeah.
really nice.
I think that's probably my favorite. That and the Trinity boost are just so awesome, man.
But these are in general though, like not even just talking about crates and Rumble, those are the 2 biggest ones, but just thinking about like the core game things that they added, like the ability to do in-game chat now, like in the lobby, being able to type to each other.
Yes,
It's
that's
pretty
nice.
awesome. Like
The
they added,
presets.
presets,
Wow,
they-
presets.
like
Oh my
player
god.
trading. Like they added a lot of core things to the game, which is exciting because that, just imagine where we're going to be in another year
Yeah.
of updates to core changes. It's going to be way different and way more robust. So
Yeah,
that's pretty exciting too, on top of the Rumble and crates.
yeah. There's a lot of quality of life, like things like equip the blue side or equip the orange side, which is nice. Which they kind of need, like because like this is mostly a cosmetic update. Besides Rumble, of course, like Rumble's huge, and then it's like Rumble and cosmetics. There's really nothing for the actual gameplay competitive.
Oh, there's a map.
There is a map, but it's in Rocket Labs right now. Like I was hoping that one would come over
Uh,
to ranked or something, like maybe Cosmic or something.
It's a great map, dude.
It is a
Octagon
great map.
so much
Yes,
fun to play.
Octagon is really solid.
And it's easily the best chaos map. Without a doubt.
Oh yeah, because it's so wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that map I could see getting like going into ranked a lot sooner than some of the other ones because it's not that different. It's different enough that it changes the play style a bit, but like everyone knows how to play it off those walls or knows how to play on a wide field. That's not hard to do. So like that map could easily go into ranked, and I think there'd be a lot less complaining compared to even Wasteland, of course, but like also Neo Tokyo. Like Neo Tokyo changes a lot, while the Octagon it's just wider mostly. And I
Well,
think-
even
yeah.
on the some of the problems, and Neo Tokyo is not as bad, but like some of the problems for me for Wasteland too is like just the gradual slopes of the walls and stuff just make it where you can't memorize the bounces. Like just things will happen that just doesn't seem right.
yeah, when there's
And-
curves, yeah.
Yeah. And even on like the Neo Tokyo in the corners where it'll hit and go straight up.
Yep.
Like there's a few of those spots in Neo Tokyo, but on Octagon, you're hitting it against a flat wall. So you're not going to be surprised by the bounce. So I think that's one thing that's going to lend itself better to the higher level of at least players will pick it up more quickly, and we'll see better games than you see on Wasteland and Neo Tokyo.
Right. I want to see Pillars, man. I actually love Pillars. It's so much fun, man.
My mind's changed a bit on Pillars. Like, I think it's good, but I don't think it's like, now that Octagon's out and Cosmic's out, I don't think it's anywhere near their level. I think they just completely outshine Pillars. I think Pillars is okay, but I don't think it's good enough for a competitive game. I think just scratch that, go to make some new maps. I don't know. Also, the replay view is terrible on it. It's like if you score from the lane, it's just like a big pillar in your face. Like, what a go.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
Because one thing that we were discussing a couple days ago, like me and James were in Skype and we were talking about, map diversity versus normal maps and all that, and where is Psyonix going. It seems like they're slowly going to map diversity, but like after the success of the first LAN where it was all on standard maps, they're probably second guessing that a little bit at least. And like I've heard that a bit when we were at the open bar thing with the devs. They were like, should we still go for map diversity when we're going for tournament stuff because it was so successful without it? And I think so too. But one thing I would love to see them do, if they decide to go the map diversity route, is because right now it's hard because we have two maps that are different, so it's hard to do like a veto or vote system. One thing that I would love is they actually change all the base arenas. So like you keep DFH normal, then like what if Beckwith was the octagon shape, and what if Utopia was another shape but just slightly different? It doesn't have to be drastic like Retropia. Like it could just be that maybe it's a super long field, and it's narrower like on the sides or something like that, while Octagon is wider, or you move the goals up a little bit. Like they're not on the ground, but they're close to the ground. Like little tweaks here or there where like playing the field might still be really easy to do. It's just you have to worry about these little tweaks, or even boost placements being different, like put them on the walls or something like that. Because it's gonna be hard to get away from standard when we have 7 arenas that are standard.
Well, I think one of the things that if they really do want to make it where there is going to be a new map, the new maps, and I was making this case in a Skype group where it was getting very heated. In my opinion, like the approach now is we will dictate to players the maps that you're going to play in matchmaking. Like we put in Wasteland, we put in Neo Tokyo, and standard, and you're going to play whatever we get. Like, if you really want, like, in my opinion, and this is purely opinion, I think any new map, if it's going to be in competitive, is going to have to stand on its own legs and be chosen by the players and be fun enough to where they want to play it. Because we gave the power to the RLCS players to pick Wasteland, and nobody did. But we make people play it in Wasteland. I would like to see them just make more maps, put it into ranked, and allow people to pick whether to play it or not. Or at a minimum, if they have more maps, you can do the one veto. So right now, like if you have Wasteland, Neo Tokyo, and standard maps in there, you get Wasteland, you veto it, you randomly get Neo Tokyo or a standard map. Or if you're on the vice versa, then you'll see things like, oh my God, it's Neo Tokyo, but I don't want to veto because I might get Wasteland. And you can start having maps stand on merit of players liking to play it.
Yeah,
as opposed to
the only reason why I don't like veto yet is because there's only 2 maps. And it's like, well, we're just always going to veto Neo Tokyo or Wasteland because we're so used to playing on one map that people don't want to change. Because they're like, well, everything's standard. And that's like...
Well, if that's the case, then why would you ever change? You're trying... we are the players of the game. Mm-hmm. We're not playing it for anyone else other than ourselves. So if we don't have fun on any other maps than standards, then there's your answer right there. Let's keep it standard.
But if we want to have... it's weird because we've played standard for forever, so people are just used to it. And sometimes you do have to throw it in there to be like, well, we want, like Psyonix, for instance, if they want map diversity, sometimes you just have to throw it onto the players and be like, get used to it. And sometimes it's just like everyone bitches for a month and then they're okay with it. But it's hard to balance that with, that's why I think a veto system would be great. But if Psyonix wants to go a map diversity route, I think they just have to take that leap off the cliff and change all the standard maps except for one of them, and then
we'll
put in a map
maps
system
quicker.
Yeah.
We will need more maps quicker if that is the case.
Yeah, because right now it's too hard.
I think it's just like a trial basis. I think like I'm a massive fan of the map diversity route. However, I think Wasteland and now Neo Tokyo for me, I think is kind of like there's something not right with it. Like it doesn't feel quite right. I think Octagon and Cosmic are like and the moment I saw Cosmic, for example, and Octagon, I think they are really good map diversity, diverse maps. I think Octagon is like the play isn't slowed down as it is on Neo Tokyo, for example, because you've got a ramp. If you want to go up the ramp, you have to stop, go up, and it kind of slows play down. Mm-hmm. Kind of, I can see how it irritates people. Whereas with Octagon, all it is just a wider map, and it's like different. So I think, and with Cosmic, it's just there's a ramp in the way. I can kind of get why people might not like Cosmic, but I think they just need to keep going with maps. And I don't think it's the fact that people don't like non-standard maps. It's just the non-standard maps they have aren't quite right. Mm-hmm. And I think they just need to keep going with it, make loads of different maps of different extremities, like, the Octagon's not too different. And eventually we'll find quite a few maps where actually like everyone, both casuals and pro players, will like it. Mm-hmm. And because I think it's really, really important for the pro scene specifically that we have diverse maps, because this game isn't very strategic based. It's very much like who's really good at playing the game mechanically a lot of the time. So if we do have map diversity, it will really open up like the strategic elements of the game, and then you'll start seeing teams actually having to build up strategies on certain maps because of how it plays out. And I think the bigger the map as well, the more you'll see that happen, because like, for example, on Cosmic, it's really big. You have so much more time to do stuff. You actually can start making proper passes and start like making some sort of tactics, and which is why I like to see bigger maps as well. But they didn't raise the goals on Cosmic either. So I thought they'd do that for the Rocket Lads. But I think
they will eventually.
But they will when
they
if
know
they skin
about it. But
skin Octagon and Cosmic, skin them two first.
Yeah, I think that if they like just were a little bit more creative with how they want to change the maps right now, I think Doomsy had it spot on where he says like it just slows down the play. Like on Wasteland and Neo Tokyo, if you have no idea what the ball's gonna do because it's just the slightest slope or like just such a very minor change, but it completely changes the bounce of the ball or completely forces you to slow your car down. You can't go for predictive touches. Like that's just not intrinsically fun to have to stop and wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't really encourage great competitive play either, because nobody knows what's going to happen. It's like it's just unpredictable.
Yeah,
right?
That's one thing.
And that's not fun.
What they did from SARP was on the standard map of Urban, it used to be curved corners. And then when they went to Rocket League, they changed it to that weird diagonal corner, which I think works a lot better because people can read that so much better. Yeah. And I think they have to try and get away from curves as much as possible. Like, you don't always have to get away from them. Like, for instance, on Cosmic, it doesn't play that terribly, so like I don't mind it there. But generally, try and get away from curves as much as possible for the competitive scene, at least, because it's so hard to read that pixel perfect spot of where that ball's going to bounce.
Right, and I'm surprised they haven't done anything with the ceilings, actually. Why haven't we seen, like, changes in the ceilings? Like, I don't know. I mean, everything's
like
just...
a rounded ceiling or something?
Not rounded, but, like...
No, let's
move away from
a big dome
from the curves, man.
Oh,
well, like, I mean, like, imagine, like, a tent
kind
of shape.
I would much rather them favor just let's get a community of professional players and bring them into the process and find what works and what doesn't. And right now, it seems like the map creation process goes a little too slow, and what gets here is all determined internally, from at least for what I understand, which is like, it's, that's fine. Maybe if they came out a little bit quicker, but it would just, what we have right now, and I don't want to be too picky, all right? They're doing all these fantastic things, but just if we're going to talk about maps in all seriousness, I feel like we need to get this figured out pretty quickly, and more like we need to have more maps quicker, and we need to get professional feedback, or like players like at the top level get their feedback in earlier in the process, because if you put it out and then you get their feedback, it's going to take way longer to get that implemented. So just try to cut out as much of that extra time as possible by bringing in the professional players early, get those feedbacks, and then make it quicker. If we really, really do want to make this, because we're talking about a huge thing in the future of our game. Like, this is a huge thing, maps. So let's figure this out quickly.
Yeah, one
Please.
thing I thought that would be great is like right now you have a tournament every 3 months where the top 24 pros like basically are going to be at one place. So why not every single LAN, like you bring them out a day early and you do a stream of like template maps where you have casters like us, like we could cast the games, let the pros have some fun on these like template maps. It'd be a great stream, like it'd be great to hype up just Rocket League in general. And then like you would get a ton of feedback back from the pros plus the people watching those maps. And then like take it back in-house and see how these maps play. Like and say they don't want to do like the stream route. They could just show the pros these maps and be like, here, let's play on these maps for like 5 hours and let's try these out. Let us know what you think is going well on this map and what's going poorly. But of course, they can't only get pro feedback. Like I guess they can internally,
Yeah,
but the casual
slippery
audience
slope.
has to be able
For
to
the
play on those maps
competitive
too.
aspect, at least. I mean,
Yeah, like a
it
more
kinda
competitive
reminds me-
playlist could work.
it reminds me of like with CS:GO with Counter Strike a little bit. They released that revolver, right?
Oh yeah.
And I can tell you that like it was pretty much just a huge disaster. And their mindset was, oh well, it has like a charge up time so that your teammate can tell you where somebody is, and you can like charge it up, and right before like it's about to shoot, you peek out and aim for them. So they were trying to add a strategic element, but it ended up just being ridiculous that now you have a pistol. It's not even like a gun that requires money or messes with like the things that are important in the competitive meta, like the economy. And it just destroys people. It's like, while it may seem interesting or fun, right? At the end of the day, it's the pro players are going to know, like, they're going to be able to quickly find out what works and what doesn't, at least from a competitive standpoint. And that's not to say that they're always going to be right, because they're not.
Yeah.
A lot of players are just not going to want to see changes. But I do think that taking pro player input and looking to see, right, what's actually changing the way we're playing Rocket League for the better.
Yeah, and it's a mixed, it's a tough situation, especially because like what you're saying, a lot of the game is not necessarily designed for pro or top level gameplay because most of your audience is not that. And again, I do want to reiterate, like, I'm not complaining about it. I just think that this is a really important topic, the map, the way that we go with this. So I just am all for more resources.
Yeah, and like I understand they're like a small company obviously, so maps take a while, and that's why they added the Rocket Labs, which is amazing that they can at least pump the maps out a little bit quicker, so we get to see them not in the final form necessarily, but we get to see them because like Retro Utopia just got bounced from Rocket Labs, so they're basically shying away from that map. They're shying away from Double Gold, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I love a Retro Utopia, but that's fine. It's fine.
It's fine, whatever.
Like it's not that great of a map anyway. It's fine. But so like I do like that they're doing the Rocket Labs stuff. I just wish they could even maybe bring a template to the pros at like an RLCS and be like, hey, try out these maps. Like it's gonna look terrible, but at least try them out and tell us why you think this works or not. But like one thing I think they're just trying to make too many major differences on maps usually. And like Octagon's like the first one where I feel like they're not trying to do anything too major, which is good. And I think we need more maps like Octagon rather than the extreme of Pillars.
I think if we could maybe even get like that workshop for maps, like community workshop, like that's one thing that Halo did. In Counter-Strike, it's very popular where people just make the maps. And then you just put that power in the hands of sometimes it is a pro player who has it. Like, and you can get, it would be really interesting to see what they come up with. Like, for instance, I was thinking yesterday about a map. Like, I saw there was one map that just had the goal, and then there was an area behind it. It would be, you know what I'm talking about, where it was in SARP, where you have,
Stadium.
like, yes.
Stadium.
I think it was pretty interesting that, like, some of the plays you could do. Imagine even if you had, like, a backboard that was floating, and kind of like, the ball could go through from behind, but would bounce off a backboard from the front. Like, there's so many different things you could do with maps. And I think, like, right now, we're just going with the physical shape of it, kind of. And having, I just feel like there's a whole nother level of things we can do that we're not even thinking about. that maybe
For
we
sure,
could
yeah.
try.
I am shocked
Yeah,
that we don't have that map yet, because
I
like
think
that
Stadium-
map would just change everything so drastically because you wouldn't be able to use back wall for passes as well. So it's like that would
We have
change everything
Northern
drastically.
Gaming.
Yeah, but they're worried about the ball just getting caught in the back of the net, which is understandable, I guess. But I feel like you can get that out pretty quick. Like, it might not work in like 1v1s, but maybe they should do like each playlist has a different map pool. Like 1v1s is probably not great for Wasteland, and it's not great for Stadium. So just take it out of the 1v1 playlist and only put it in 2v2 or higher and stuff like that. But
I think there's just this balance that's really hard to get right. I understand that, but it's like the reason why we want map diversity in the competitive scene anyway, top scene, is because we want to change up the strategic elements. So we're not having just if you're good, so you can be good on certain maps and not on others, and you have to like practice and train on certain maps, and you have to develop new strategies for it because it makes the entire scene much more interesting. Obviously, there's this delicate balance where at the moment, like with Neo Tokyo, for example, they've kind of changed it so much that it's a bit iffy. So like Stadium, I think, and Octagon are perfect examples where you've just changed something ever so slightly on the map, but it's something that's very key and it can very much change the game without sacrificing like the speed of it or making things a bit more boring. So I think something like Stadium, like you say, pick a key element of Rocket League, backball passes, make that a bit more difficult. So you put something behind, you make a gap behind the goal, and now you've completely like changed like probably one team's most dominant area, and so now they have to develop something new to be able to be more effective. And you kind of change, like James was saying, you just got to change something like that rather than. And it's a very difficult balance. I get that, but you gotta. That's the key. Something that's fun to play, doesn't like ruin the game too much, but you have to play it a bit differently and develop new strategies on it, because that's the whole point of map diversity, I think.
yeah, that I like of doing, because like say you take Neo Tokyo, there's like 4 different changes on that map. There's like really tall ceilings, and you got ramps, then you got the curved walls, and that's probably it. So maybe 3 changes, but like going for maps of like 1 change at a time. Like Stadium, just move the goals out. That's 1 change. Maybe on Stadium, you might have to change the corners a little bit to promote the ball going out in front of the net instead of going behind. But that I'll give you like 1.5 changes. But do like 1 change at a time for maps. Like, the Octagon, it's basically just wider. Like, sure, the walls are a little different. Maybe a 1.5 change scenario again. But try to keep it as small of changes as possible. Maybe could be better off, because then people could get used to the map a lot quicker, because it's like, all right, they only changed the goal height on this map and now it's up on the wall a little bit, but it's exactly the same everywhere else, and maybe we'll try it that way or something like that. But like obviously this is a really, really hard fix, and like I bet they've thought about all this crap too, and like they probably
And
test out a
honestly,
shitload
I'm
of
part of the
different
camp that it would be perfectly happy with Rocket League as it is right now if it never
Yeah.
changed. Like I could play, like I've been playing it for 1,600 hours, and I still love playing the same map every single time. So
Yeah, that's true. But we always want the best. We always want the best.
Which
We want to
is-
strive
yeah.
to get better.
Like it's
Striving
weird
for
'cause-
perfection, man.
Yeah, because like Rocket League, like
we
you
want-
can compare it
yeah.
to a sport, or you compare it to a video game, or you compare it
don't
to
know.
both. So that's why
I
it's
don't know.
tough. Because like, can a sport thrive in a video game environment, or does Rocket League have to become a video game like with map diversity or with
I mean,
some
people
type of
love
diversity?
playing FIFA all the time and Madden, and the fields don't change in that, and hockey and
Yeah,
I think
but
those
that's
are
also because it's
intrinsically
based
a
on
little
a
bit more
sport.
strategic games, like just the ability to do. I don't know.
Like you have 5 billion plays in Madden, so it's like I don't know if that like sure
Yeah.
like I could see it though, like FIFA maybe more, but then there's also different player skills, and like honestly I don't like sport games, so that's
should make like a
I mean,
don't know.
breakout type game where you have to like break the goal. You know, break out like you have that little
yeah, that was one of my ideas, Quinn.
right. That would be awesome. And then like just make it so that the goal actually attracts the ball. So that way you're like so defensive. You don't want them to like break the goal open, because then if they like put a shot on target, it'll like pull it in.
You probably wouldn't even like
Right?
if you
That'd
had
be
a
sweet.
wall that like it took like 3 or 4 hits, and then it was just a 1-goal game. It would be kind of neat, like a mini game, but like without the gravitational. Like I think you're going a little too far, Quinn, with the gravitational stuff. You've been playing
Well, I mean,
Rumble a little too
Well,
much.
I was assuming. Okay, fine.
honestly, I think what James was saying earlier about letting the players like make their own maps. If we had some sort of mod support where we could create our own maps, think of how many players would create maps, and then all you need is like thousands of maps being created, but there's like 3 maps there that are just absolutely to perfection, and you're like, we're going to make that an official map because that is amazing. And Psyonix, like, they've just had to put the work in for mod support, and I get that's a lot of work, but but once you just get that work done, then it's like, it just opens the door to like the potential of like all these new ideas. And I think that's the key. If you let the players, like, or the users and the community and everything, just create these ideas,
like what people were doing with the the obstacle course, you know.
Oh my god, that's so fun. That's
yes, but yeah, I mean, we're not that demanding, right? We're only asking that they do everything faster.
I know.
Like, I'm worried about mod support personally.
No mistakes.
Because like mod support also takes away like it basically, like, they take their baby and just hand it out to like the public, like just put it on the street and then like let anyone do what they want to it. And I could see why they might want to be a little bit more. Like, sorry, it was a weird baby reference. I don't know, you know. Like, I'm a dad now. Sorry. Like, it was a weird reference. Okay, you know what? I'm done. Like, it's just weird to like take your baby and just like let anyone do whatever they want to.
Where is your baby right now?
I hope it's still upstairs. All right, we're gonna move on that. That didn't go too well. Anyway, so with James and Doobsy complaining so much, we figured, hey, let's have them complain some more. Quinn can also chime in here. We're talking about ranked fixes. They tried to do 2 small fixes. Recently, they did, so now instead of it being the highest rated player and have the entire like opponents be that rated, now it's kind of weighted towards the higher rated player, and it's kind of like a mix between what it used to be of party average, and now it's like party average, but then you also weigh in a little bit higher for the highest rated player. So they're going to try and fix it that way a little bit. And then of course they added inactivity, which I honestly don't think it does much, but we haven't seen it yet. Basically, if you don't play for 30 days, they are not ranked anymore, but then they get a certain amount of placement games to get back into ranked. And to be fair, placement games have never really meant anything in this game. I don't know if they fixed that with the inactivity. So really, you could probably just play your 5 games again and be exactly where you were before. So we'll see what happens with that. I would hope they would add like a decay of your actual skill when you're inactive, but they didn't do that. But it's a small thing for now, and they're slowly getting there. But the main thing is just ranked in general, the entire system. I know Doomsy and James, you guys have a lot of problems because you guys watch your rating like all the time. I don't watch my rating at all because I don't even want to know. And Quinn, if you want to chime in too about ranked, like, how do you feel ranked is right now?
Okay, my biggest issue with ranked is that it's not easy at all to rank up because of the fact that you really only get significant amounts of points when you're playing players pretty much at the exact same rank or higher. Now, if you're at the top level, I mean, you're always going to be, you have to win like 10, 15 games compared to 1 loss. Like the ratio has to be, it's just too dramatic. And I think the problem with that is I think there needs to be a little bit more of a boost in points for players. Like you're just maybe getting an extra point or 2 a game.
Like a minimum.
Just automatically, Just like you win a game, you get this many points.
Like, like 5 points.
As long
minimum.
As a player is within, let's say, a certain amount of ranks than you.
Yeah.
At the very, if they want to, I mean, that could bring in other complications. But one of my issues is just that it's so hard to rank up. And like, it almost makes me like, it kind of takes out the fun for me in ranked a tiny bit. I know ranked is supposed to be like a competitive aspect, but like everybody's skill is rising. Right? So as far as defense goes, it's not as easy to just like smash people in ranked. And now I get so worried about losing and like essentially dropping a lot of points that I had worked for over so many games just because of how it has to rise. But that is a really complicated situation. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to deal with that. Yeah. I think that what they could do is perhaps add decay. And on the other hand, so like that way people don't just sit at the top, and it forces them to keep playing if you're highly ranked.
Yeah,
forces you to keep fighting for a better rank. Because when someone gets grand champion, they stop playing, right? well, crap, I don't have any ranked or grand champs to get points off of anymore.
Yeah, because once they start, because like you're saying, like once somebody gets grand champion, they're motivated to not play because there's almost no other grand champions right now. So once they get it, they stop. But then that negatively affects everyone below them because now we have less people at the top to play to get points off of. So it's like we just get stuck. Like before, like in the preseason, like all our stuff carried over into season 1, which carried over into season 2. There was tons of grand champions, tons of players moving around. But like now, people are stuck. Like I'm top 100 in threes, and I'm like not even champion. And I was top 100 in solo threes, and I was not even the highest blue rank because people just aren't playing.
Yeah,
because I don't know why.
Yeah, they need a percentage tier. Like grand champion should be top 1% or even like top 0.5%. And then super champion top 1%, champion top 2%. One
And
thing
it should be
that helps with that is so say you did get like a minimum points and you got like say you got a minimum of 5 points because right now you get when you lose like what like 15 16 generally is that how it works?
Yeah.
It's like I don't look at it usually. So like say you got a minimum of 5. Then it doesn't matter how many points you are getting because everyone else is also getting that same amount of like, oh, like I got a minimum of 5 points. So you can get rid of the point tiers to get the grand champion and then just do completely percentage based. It keeps it more competitive that way because then
But you'd have to definitely have decay then. You definitely have to have decay then.
Well, then it's like a virtual decay too because everyone is climbing while you're not playing. Because people will just continue to get points. Generally,
right, but I mean, you don't want to screw somebody over. Like, what if you have a really great player, but they just don't have as much time, and they're just unable to rank up because of the amount that other people are playing? So I think that
if they don't play as much, they will rank up faster because everyone else will have a lot more points than them.
I think the higher rank you get, you could lessen the amount of points that they get per win, forcing you. If you want grand champion, I mean, let's be fair, you kind of need to like win a lot more of your games. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
so if you're playing,
literally,
if you're
in solo threes, the number 1 player is not even a grand champion.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
I think
that's why it has percentage based.
I think that right now the system is just it's unable to it's just not utilized correctly at all.
Well, they said at the beginning like the full reset was to get numbers. So they're getting them and they're making changes. Like one of the changes they had, and they're making it better for like previous rank. But it's matchmaking is such a convoluted, difficult topic. Like there are so many games that just struggle with it. And really, I don't even know if there is an example of someone who's done it perfectly because it is so difficult because you've got people who abuse it, like the boosters. You know, they tried to address boosting, and what happens when you do that? The fixes that you put in to address boosting now negatively affect the legitimate people who are trying to party and level up. So much so that now they have changed it back to where it is a average party skill, but they did make it weighted so it's up towards the top more, so it's not going to be a perfectly averaged skilled party system, but they changed it back. But they said we'll make these changes, but it'll affect everyone except people who are champion rank. Champion rank, it doesn't matter if you're playing with a prospect, you're still going to get points based off of if you're playing champion. So I mean, it's kind of good, but it's at the same time it's still kind of bad because there are people with champion friends. Or like I'm a champion. If I play with somebody who is like all-star or whatever, like I don't get to, like you just don't get that.
Yeah,
and then,
but the point of ranked is to be competitive, and I feel like when you start getting closer to that top places, then you're competing for like best in the world, and you should maybe have different rules on you compared to people that are trying to have a little bit more fun. Like I understand where they're coming from, but I understand it's hard because we're all in like the top 1% of rank. And like, it's hard to judge that. And the hardest thing is like a ranked system. They only get better if you have more users. So like Doomsy, we were talking about Clash Royale, and like Clash Royale system is pretty good. But at the same time, like when you're close to the top arena, you're still like there's still like 500,000 people ahead of you, and there's tons of people matchmaking all the time.
It's like if our friends aren't queuing, then we don't get games with people who are the same rank.
You have to snipe your friends, basically.
Yeah, it's so it is. It's a challenge.
1,000 players right now,
and hopefully they would just like I still am not sure if the scoreboard is a good thing for us.
Yeah.
Like I don't like the scoreboard from a sense that
Leaderboards or scoreboard?
yeah, the leaderboard for
Like the
solo
rankings
threes and things
or
like that.
Yeah.
Because like people then are not motivated by what rank they can achieve, but they're motivated by getting on the leaderboard. And when they get on the leaderboard, they want to sit. You know, if it was just obliterate that, people will try to get grand champion and they'll keep playing and playing and playing till they get that, because then the rank is the primary motivator to get to grand champion, not to get to number one. Because
Plus,
solo three is like no one's queuing anymore. They're just sitting on the leaderboard.
And plus, if it's like a tiered system of only the 0.5% get it, then you could lose your grand champion if you don't continue to try and collect points in that playlist, because everyone else, if they're getting that minimum of 5 points, are going to slowly keep increasing and catch up to you. So it just promotes keep playing, but at the same time, like Quinn, you were saying that, well, if someone doesn't have as much time, but the thing is, like, say you have 800 points and you don't have a lot of time, then you get bumped down to, like, say, champion level. But then you're going to start beating those champions over and over again and move up really quickly back to grand champion because everyone else is already up there. Like, trying to rank up from last season when everyone still had rank. When you played, like, placement games, like, it was kind of bad, but you could rank up to grand champion really quickly because everyone has those points already, and you're just taking those points from them over and over and over again. While now they kept the same tier levels of, oh, well, grand champion is, say, 2,000 points, but no one has points yet, so no one can take points off one another, and it takes a really long time for the entire community to grow those points because you have to have a lot of games in place. And I think that was their main mistake of, all right, when we made the grand champion, we wanted a 2,000 point limit. So some of us we started off as grand champions when they implemented that. Problem is now there's not as many ranked games being played, so everyone has to grow back up into those points. And that's why if you just did a percentage system, maybe it's hard to implement, but then it could just grow with how many games are being played on its own, and you don't have to watch it, which would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree 100% with that, and that's like the thing is that's one of the issues. Like we know it's hard to get like a really good matchmaking system, but I just think with Rocket League, there are so many flaws, and I think that it like they all intertwine, and like one problem makes another problem worse, and then it will just like it's a big bundling mess. So I think like if you fix one thing, it would help everything else a little bit, and then you fix another, and it would kind of scale up pretty well. So I think at the moment, like the biggest problem is, well, there's a lot of problems, but like the fact that no one plays because they just want to camp on the leaderboards, and there's two reasons: they want to stay on the leaderboards, and because they're worried that if they play, they're going to lose like 20 points, and then they're going to have to play like 50 games to get back again. Like that's the problem. If they kind of eased off on the amount you lose and the amount you win, and just make it a bit more balanced, maybe like
more consistent type.
Yeah, give an actual physical like fixed number of like the minimum of the amount you can win and like the maximum you can lose and stuff, so it's not as crazy.
Yeah, maybe
add a bit of a decay.
You know,
like so depending on where you are, there's depending on the minimum you can win and lose, so it's not as so you're kind of faking the system a little bit more to make it a bit more like friendly,
forgiving.
Exactly that point. It's like I don't want to play a game where I am going, if I lose 14, and if I win 1. That drives me insane.
Yeah.
So and with the skill of everyone, it's hard to win 14 in a row, no matter who you play.
Yeah. So I would much rather it if like you're saying, Doomsy, it's like the most you can lose is a set amount, and the minimum you can win is a set amount. Because like if we get in a game and we get 1 point for it, that is deflating. It's frustrating, especially if you lost the one before and lost all of your points.
It's also just like it's also inaccurate. Like the leaderboards, if you look at it now, they're kind of, I mean, like yes, they are the best players in the world if you're in the top 100, pretty much. But at the same time, it's completely wild in the sense that like, because if let's say you're having a slightly bad day and your opponent's having a pretty good day, and you lose that one match and you've just lost 15 points, and you're gonna have to play like 10 more games to win it back. That's not right. Like it's not. You can't expect like even the best players, especially when they're playing with each other. You can't expect someone to win 90% of their matches or 95% of their matches. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I used to have
got to be a bit more
win rate, 75%, like between pros and NA. It's like the only people higher were like Crow and Game at 75%, and that was when like, you know, nobody could even hit balls off the wall and everything. It's like 90% is just unreal. And you know, League of Legends, how they have like that LP system where it's like what you need to do is you need to rise from up to like 100 LP, and that is slightly elo based. Where if you beat somebody better than you, right? So if you're in Grand Champ, or if you're a Super Champ and you beat a Grand Champ, you'd get a little bit more points. And then once you get or a little more LP, for instance, right? That would be what it would equate to. And once you get to 100, they have win streaks, which I don't know if I agree with. Like you have a promotion series. That's a whole nother beast. But just the fact that if you want to get deranked, even if you're at the bottom, you don't derank immediately. There's like it's a little forgiving where it's like if you lose, you don't lose 10 hours of progress.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, right?
I mean that's the point. You want it's like I know you want it to be like a good rank system where you have to like work to get to where you are, but if you're discouraging players from playing, you're kind of just taking players out of the game. System. You want to make it so that people are like they want to play rank because they're like, oh yeah, I'm getting points. I'm actually feel like I'm earning this. I'm doing all right. If I lost a couple of games, all right, I'll just win like 4 more, whatever, and I'll be all right. That's fine. Like if I had to win double the amount of wins than losses, even that would be okay. But the rate is now is ridiculous. But anyway, like that's you want to encourage more players to play, so you kind of make the rank system a bit more forgiving. Players won't camp in the leaderboard as much because they know that they can afford to win a match or two rather than what it is at the moment. Players will then play more. I'll start like grand champions will actually start facing other grand champions rather than it just being like a really unbalanced matchmaking system. And then the whole rank system just becomes a bit more healthy and everything works a bit better. And that's like you fix one thing and you kind of trails off, and that's what they need to do right now.
And one thing that would be nice is like you're about to have 16 teams in group stage. Like, just start asking these players questions. Like, what do they want? Like, maybe every single player wants the leaderboard gone. And if that's the case, and you have the best players in the world saying that, why not just remove it right away? Of course, if they say, like, some say stay, some say go, then you might want to think about it more. But, like, at least ask these questions to these players. Like, you already have them here, like, every weekend. Why not, like, throw some surveys at them and be like, hey, can you just answer this real quick before we get started? You know, we're already paying you, so freaking answer these questions for us, you know? And then like maybe that would help and like lead them to certain ways. Of course, like that doesn't have to be for every single decision in the game, but like for leaderboards, it literally is just these players on the leaderboard anyway. So why not ask them? And if they don't like it, just take it out. Because it doesn't matter for the casual audience anyway, because that's more for us to begin with. But like all 4 of us, we really don't like the leaderboards how they are now because of the way the points are. So maybe more people feel the same, and then maybe it's just like, hey, let's just remove it.
Yeah. I mean, I think leaderboards would be fine if it was like if the changes I was saying were implemented, because like people are moving about, like people aren't afraid to play whilst they're on the leaderboard. I think, and then people would actually be fighting for the first spot, and everyone would be playing, and all the top players would be playing, and it'd be like a great healthy balance.
It's just too hard to rank up. And like that just is completely correlates to the fact that it's so hard to rank up because you lose so much.
Well, it's almost like for instance, like
and no one's playing.
You have to queue at specific times. Like you can't get around being forced to queue at specific times if you want to. Yeah, like if I'm home in the Eastern time zone at around like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., like. The chances of me getting a game with champions or anything is going to be very low.
Yeah, I was I'm shooting myself in the foot during those times, and then people are like, "Why are you playing on Europe?" I'm like, "Because it's 10 a.m. It's like no one's playing on the East Coast." Yeah. So I want to try and get around the same skill level. So
I want to know like why this like I know like people aren't playing a lot because they're afraid to lose their rank, hence why you can't get like an even match. But like I was saying earlier, like I was Snasky and Lamp. We're doing a test. Snasky and Lamp were matchmaking 2s. I was matchmaking 2s. None of us were in a party, and all 3 of us got in separate games. But yet we're all pretty much within each other. We're all in like the top 50 in 2s, and yet we're all facing like superstars, and we're all champions. And I'm like, why aren't we put together? It makes a very even match for everyone. It was a bit like I don't know. I don't know what Sarnex said about that, but why? It seems like people are matchmaking at similar levels, but we're just not getting put together. I don't really get why that is the case.
Using higher level players to balance lower level matches.
Yeah, like it just seems like it's high level versus low level, or like just a bit of a weird one. Because I've had it where a lot of times where it's like it's not even pie related. Well, they're in a pie, the two superstars in a pie, but then they're getting faced with me and another guy who we're both champions, and we're like, for God's sake. And yet there's other people who are also champions who are matchmaking, and we could just be matched with them and have like a 2v2 where we're all champions. And I'm pretty sure there are other superstars matchmaking as well. It just seems like the matchmaking is a bit off.
But one thing that I don't like is they don't show the ranks before you start playing. Like, why not, as soon as like the game starts, show the ranks? I understand maybe toxicity a little bit, but like that helps a lot to know if like I have a champion teammate in 2s or I have like a Rising Star teammate in 2s. Helps a lot to determine how you're going to play that game. And I think that would help a little bit, so at least you know what type of room you're in. Because sometimes, like with the loss streaks and the win streaks, sometimes
They removed loss streaks, by the way.
Yeah. That they remove that, and win streaks are very toned down or something like that. But sometimes, or even like long queue times, like you don't know if you're going to be ranked with other champions. Like maybe we know because we see the players a lot, or you're going to be ranked with like Rising Stars, and like those two games are completely different, and you have to play them completely different. So that would help at least a little bit for the time being. But yeah, matchmaking just in general is a little wonky. All right, enough talk about matchmaking. We got to go over the rosters real quick. We'll talk about some of the surprise rosters or the top teams. We're going to do this relatively quickly. I'm going to do NA, and then I'm going to step out for a second while you guys do Europe, and I'll be right back. But first, for NA, the top 3 teams, completely the same. Nothing has changed with them. G2, Exodus, and Kings of Urban. Sorry, Genesis, I didn't put you as a top 3 team, even though you technically beat Kings of Urban at the LAN. But I'm sorry, Quinn. Anyway, then
not me. I'm just a caster, dude. Yeah,
well, it's true. Then Genesis, they decided to get rid of their dead weight and improve a ton. Nah, I kid. Quinn retired, and they picked up Classics, and Classics looks to be in top form with the Genesis boys. They've been winning past 2 Rocket Royales, and they've been performing like crazy. So right there was your top 4, and I feel like probably top 6 is pretty much set in North America right now, but of course, upsets can happen. Vendetta with Darkfire Torment, and Lethamir with Matt as the sub, and Selfless, which used to be Momentum with Dapper, What's Up Miho, Timmy, and JNaps, which I honestly don't even know who the 3 starters are, because Timmy and JNaps, they flip-flop all the time.
I would think that it would be JNaps over Timmy.
Like,
I've
I would
seen
think
them
so,
do
too.
better with
Yeah.
JNaps, but I don't know.
Yeah, like I'm not sure which way they're going, but like those 6 seem pretty set as like those are the teams to beat if you want to qualify. And then it gets a little hazy after that. We got like Take 2, which is just Mock It. They came back, Zane, Rizzo, and Insolences. They haven't played a ton together yet, so we'll see how they go. Then we got like a Revival, Chrome, Hot Wheels Sid, Geno Cop, James or Quinn. Do you want to point out any other North America teams that you think have a pretty decent shot at getting into league play?
Revival, I think, definitely has a really good shot. I think Hot Wheels Sid is nasty. I think he's really, really good. He's a great player. And Chrome and Geno Cop helping him out, those are also top tier players. So I would not be surprised to see those guys make it in.
Right, I agree. I think that Revival is a really, really good team. I think they were formerly known as Foresight, for anyone else who's wondering.
Yeah, that's a terrible name.
They're a really strong team, like both mechanically and relatively tactically. I think that they're like in that group of teams that kind of struggle with staying consistent, and like sometimes they just kind of tunnel vision and concede goals.
One thing I wanted to note, like just in general. So like at first I thought the sub rule was like you can get any sub after you make league play, but you can only get subs that did not participate in the open qualifier. But you can add subs after you make league play, which is good. But some of these subs, like I don't like when I see like a pretty good player as the second sub on a team. I would rather see them try and compete. Like I'm in
like
the NA.
Pirelli.
Yeah, like we have like Karma as the second sub, like because she couldn't find a team, and just like I would rather see some of these guys try to make
like
teams.
J-Raw.
Karma's a special situation though.
Well, like I know.
Look at this
like,
one. Deception. It's Bell, Fireworks, Corrupted G, Vince, and J-Raw. Like Vince and J-Raw could have gone and made a team with Husky. That would have been a good team.
But even like some of the subs, like just in general, like G2 sub, we have Muffins over there. He was on Vendetta. They were doing well, and like I know he doesn't want to compete, so maybe that's why he wanted to do it.
He's just
like,
shy,
he didn't like
scared.
the pressure of competing. Yeah, but it's like you could have easily made league play with like and been a starter and make money. Like if you're a sub, you're really not making much. Like maybe G2's an exception because of the name and all that helps. But say for instance, like Karma, like she was gonna be a sub for G2, and then last second it didn't happen. But like Matt. He could have easily been on a starting team and tried to make league play and actually like get paid. Instead, he's a sub, and so
Yeah,
I don't
like,
know. Like, I would rather see
Matt,
some of these guys try.
Flow and Squishy.
Or
Look,
Waffle.
that team would have been. I mean, Vafeli, he doesn't want to play. I don't.
He
think,
tried
but-
for a little bit, I think, there, and then like it didn't work out with his team. But I don't know. Like I would rather see more people try and compete. But I understand because like for the RLCS they send out one sub, and like that's pretty cool. But you can make a decent amount of money now if you just make league play. Like $3,500 is nothing to sneeze at. So I don't know. I would just rather see some of these guys try to compete instead of like automatically going to a.
If you
sub
want to
role.
get better as a player, you need to compete.
Yeah,
No matter what, at the end of the day, if you're not on the starting roster for a team, you are limiting yourself in terms of progression as a player. It's something that like it's the case with real sports where it's better to go to a team, like this is especially the case with like soccer or football for Doomsday. It's like it's better to go to a team that's worse and actually learn what it takes to be a good player and like where you're going wrong than to just sit on the side because you're not getting practice that way. You're not learning where the weaknesses are in your game and like what needs to improve. You don't even get to a huge learning experience is seeing players countering what you like to do.
yeah.
And just saying, oh, wow, that's so good. Like, maybe next time I'm going to try that. I'm going to try and get better at that. And just being on a starting roster is so big. If you want to be a second sub in RLCS 2, you're not going to – it's way worse than if you were to just try your best to get into RLCS 2 and then go for RLCS 3. It's better to have playtime in RLCS 2 than to be a sub if you're trying your best to get into RLCS 3. Like, just in the
James.
long run, it's better to
Just
start.
go and come back.
Okay.
James has to pee really bad. Yeah, like I completely understand, like, I understand a little bit by the first sub of being like, well, he gets a trip to LAN and like he might play because like maybe someone can't play every weekend. Like for the teams, like I think it's great to have two subs like that are quality subs, but for the players themselves, I don't like understand
Right.
why you would want to be like a second sub. It literally makes no sense. Like you're not doing anything.
I think
So
isn't that the
why
point,
not
though?
try for league play?
I know from my experience, the people that want to sub are the people that like they don't really they're not
Yeah,
interested
that's
in
true,
being
yeah.
a professional like esport player. They just want to lend a helping hand to a team that maybe want it. Like even if they
That's
don't go
true.
to the LAN, they're just like, yeah, you know what, I'm not really into it. But if you need help, I'm happy to like just sub in just to help you out. I don't
That
really,
makes
I'm
sense.
not,
Yeah,
you're not
there is a
focused.
lot of players like that. I just wish like more of these players had maybe a little bit more drive and like wanted to try and make league play. Maybe I should have said it that way. But I understand some of them like life situations or whatever. Like, like I'm not gonna have that much time to play during this RLCS season, so maybe it's better off that I'll just be
Yeah.
there just in case like shit hits the fan and they need two subs. And,
Just in case someone goes out to London like the day before or something, you need to like
yeah,
sub
So-
in the next day, just in case,
Easy 9-hour flight, right?
All right, we'll go over to the Europe rosters. I will be right back. I got a special guest, but you guys take Europe rosters. I'll be right back.
Okay. Gibbs' turn. So Doomsy, you're the EU
I'm an EU
expert
man.
analyst. Here, I'm going to just give my two shots being an uneducated North American, and then you can correct me.
All right,
Quinn,
go for it.
Okay. I think the best team out there right now in Europe is Northern Gaming. And I think the second best team is Scrub Killer's team.
Wait, what? I'm correcting you right there. Why if you just completely missed out Flipside? The fuck you on?
Never mind. I don't think he's on the list. But yeah,
It's the
I
RSS
haven't
team.
seen how good Market Aces are, and I'm not totally sure what all the drama is around that. But
Do you not?
yeah, Northern
Oh.
Gaming seems to be like the main team, and then I'm seeing like Precision Z down there with KDOP and Skyline and Siki. I think that actually is going to be a really, really good team.
All right. Well, today there's a tournament. Yeah, G20. Mocket lost 3-2 to Weed and Babies Scrubs team. Flip side, I've just been on an absolute tear lately. They didn't play too well in the Rocket Royale where they beat us, and then Northern Gaming 4-1 them. But then straight after in the Gfinity, Flip side would just up their game immensely. So I think at the moment, Flip side are easily the best team in the world.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, like quite ahead of her. However, when it comes to LAN, who knows what's going to happen? Because everyone just like goes, everyone just does everything differently at the LAN because it's a LAN event. But yeah, Flipside are doing really, really well at the moment. I haven't really seen much of Northern Gaming in terms of playing a team that's actually playing well, like to match them. And I haven't played them either. But from experience, I know that Flipside, in my opinion, are the best. Northern Gaming would then be second, I think, just because they did pretty well if they 4-1 Flipside, even if Flipside aren't playing that great. I think then it's a bit of a mix. Like Penta have just been 3-0'd by Flipside, I think twice now in a row, like quite comfortably. And Penta, like we've always been pretty even with Penta. So I think if we're considered the third best team, and Flipside just keep 4-0ing us and 3-0ing everyone, like Penta and us, then I think Flipside are pretty well ahead at the moment.
Because I've only been following mostly Rocket Royales when it comes to Europe, so. I've just seen Northern Gaming take the last couple of them pretty commandingly.
I'm back. Got baby. Twitch, baby. It's got a Twitch onesie on.
You have the baby? Oh, it's on the stream.
Wait, I need to go on the stream. You on the stream?
It's little Ryan.
Yeah, Twitch onesie.
Oh my god.
Oh, he's got it.
Oh,
What does Ryan think about the EU rosters?
Yeah, he's saying he loves Pashy. He understands why. He's scared. He's got to make a good team. It's very understandable, right, Ryan?
That's a screenshot for Jadel.
Oh man, but I don't know what you guys talked about, but I just wanted to point out with the Pashy situation that I completely understand why these players are trying to form the best teams possible, even if it comes down to the last second, because it's like if you don't make that league play, what are you doing for the next 4 months? Like you're not really doing too much, so I can see why he's doing it. Of course, it would be better if they do it a little bit earlier or whatever, but that happens all the time where people make last second changes.
I just think people just settle down now. Pick your team and just play longer with them, please, because the scene is getting big now. Like the prize pools are getting big. Lots of viewers are watching, so let's settle down. Otherwise, the orgs aren't going to. The orgs are going to, for God's sake, what are you doing?
Yeah.
how are we supposed to?
At least for 3 months, it'll settle down because it has to. Because there's nothing else it can do, which is nice. Like I think a lot of orgs might come in once they see who makes league play, and then they sign these teams because that makes a lot more sense. If I was an org owner, I would wait to make sure they make league play, and they'd be like, all right, now we'll sign you for the next 3 months, and then we'll look at it again for the next qualifier or something like that. Like even if it's smaller ones like that, because for right now it's just the way it is, and you have to deal with it. Like I think it's partially players' fault, but it's also just the format that we have. It's just the way, since we're doing an open qualifier where anyone can make it, that also means anyone cannot make it. So it's tough to keep orgs interested when they might have a team that doesn't make league play, and then you barely see them. Like you're seeing for Rocket Royale or something for $300, which for right now, of course. I think eventually we'll have more tournaments and that might be better, but for right now, that's where we're at.
Yep. Well said.
Did you guys already talk about all the Europe teams?
Yep.
We could
to an extent. It was just
we talk about the top teams. Let's go lower down. Let's see the lower down.
We should save some of it for next week, though.
Do you want to know what's just come out though?
Who's
do you want to know what's just come out?
What?
The tasty brackets have just come out.
Ooh.
What do you mean?
No
the brackets
way,
for
really?
RLCS?
Yeah, the brackets for RLCS, right?
Ooh,
well, we'll go over that more next week
we've been on this long enough.
And most teams are going to be away from each other anyway, so we should all see them easily make it through weekend number 1, and then next week's when the bracket, we can look at the predictions of the bracket itself on the site, and then we'll go over who we think is actually going to make top 8. But if you had to pick some of these teams more down below, Doomsy, who do you got in your bottom of the top 8? Because we know the top teams, but who do you think can surprise or even they think they'll probably make it besides Super Giant Avengers because they'll fail somehow?
Yeah, we'll lose in the first round. We'll lose on Sunday. That's what's coming. The low end, it's the Team Solid, I think. Like the Team Solid, Aeriality, Scoop, them lot. I think there's just right. So it's like you got like flip side, you got Northern, right, and then like you got Superson Avengers and Penta, if we're actually playing well, and then you kind of got Mock here, Weird and Babies, they come in as well. But then there's this like big group after that where it's like Team Solid, Aeriality, Precision Z, Oh My Dog, Complex, where they're just like all bundled together and anyone could be anyone. So that's where I think who knows what's gonna happen. But I reckon maybe Team Solid could get through. Well, I know the brackets now. I just had a cheeky peek, so I kind of can sway.
Where are you
answers
looking at
a
it?
little bit.
RocketLeagueEsports.com?
It's on Smash. It's on Smash site. But I have to say, in as a preamble for next week, it is very well seeded, like far better seeded than it was in Q1. I think it's like pretty much spot on.
There's a lot of work that went into that.
So kudos to the seeders, everyone out you Twitch and Cyanix. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
Very the seeding looks perfect.
Been qualifier week 1.
To anywhere else who helped out with the seeding.
Yeah.
Very well
Mystery people.
It's very well done. Yeah. But yeah, that's who I think will possibly go through in the low rate.
All right, well, we'll do bracket predictions next week because we'll know in case because who knows, like the skill level of everyone is getting higher, so you never know. Maybe one of these teams loses a best of 3. You never know. So maybe they'll be in the lower bracket even before we get to next weekend. But we'll see. Oh, pacifier's down. That means show's over, guys. So, guys, this has been DFH Locker Room number 18. Quinn, thank you so much for coming, dude.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun.
You were fantastic. And, of course, James and
Quinn.
Doomsy. And,
Love
of
you
course,
too, Doomsy.
we love Psionics.
Yes.
This was a big, complaining about Psionics a little bit, or just about stuff.
Well, no, about the
we
game.
still love them.
We complain because we care. We're suggesting.
No, yeah, of course.
And it's
Love you.
conversation
We want your
now.
game to be
Tough
the best
love.
in the
You need
world.
it.
Yes, of course. They know, but I'm just letting them know. You know, we still love you.
Yeah, we still love you.
And
Never
Baby
stop.
loves you, too.
Oh my god.
Oh, looks like it's time to go. So, guys, that'll be it for DFH Locker Room number 18. Thank you so much for coming. We will take some questions in a second, but for the video, we're done. We out.